This chart shows how India generates wealth. The tertiary service sector dominates gross domestic product. But on a second chart showing employment, the picture flips. The primary agricultural sector takes over half the circle. The sector producing the least economic value employs the most people. So how did the creation of wealth become so completely decoupled from the creation of jobs? To read these charts correctly, we have to define the categories. The primary sector covers activities that extract resources directly from nature, like farming cotton. The secondary sector takes those natural materials and manufactures them into finished goods, like spinning that cotton into textiles. And the tertiary sector is the support system. It doesn't produce physical goods, but provides services like transportation, banking, and IT. When economists measure a country's total wealth, they use a strict accounting method. They only count the value of final, consumer-ready goods.
If you count the wheat, the flour, and the biscuit in eventually becomes, you're counting the same value 3 times. We only count the biscuit. This strict accounting rule confirms that the massive employment anomaly in agriculture is a systemic physical reality rather than a measurement error. If you look at the histories of developed countries, you see a standard economic progression. Nations start heavily agrarian, move into a booming industrial phase, and eventually transition into service-based economies. As farming methods improve, fewer people are needed to grow food. They migrate into factory jobs and later into modern offices. The country's wealth and its workforce shift together in tandem. India experienced a unique economic leapfrog. A massive boom in IT and specialized services caused the country's wealth to jump directly to the tertiary sector, but manufacturing never scaled up enough to pull workers out of the fields. Without that industrial stepping stone, the primary sector became a holding pen. Millions of workers were left on the farm simply because they had nowhere else to go. To see how this plays out on the ground, imagine a small 2-hectare farm dependent entirely on rainfall. An entire family of 5 workers tends to this plot, laboring day in and day out all year long. If you look closely at the actual labor required, this specific plot of land only needs 2 people to reach its absolute maximum crop yield. The family isn't idle, they are constantly moving, but their total labor effort is being heavily divided among too many hands. Economists call this disguised unemployment. It's a scenario where people are clearly visible, visibly working, but are operating far below their true potential. That massive agricultural slice of the employment chart represents a nationwide crisis of hidden unemployment, masking the reality that many of these workers add 0 marginal value to the harvest. These sectors are highly interdependent. A farmer trapped in disguised unemployment doesn't have the income to buy factory-made tractors, which means fewer goods for the service sector to transport. Fixing this starts with basic rural infrastructure. If the government provides loans for irrigation wells and paves reliable roads, farmers can grow a second crop each year and actually get it to market. Those simple upgrades instantly create new, productive jobs in transportation and retail for the people who are previously stuck dividing labor on a small plot of land. The next step is deliberately placing secondary industries, like crop processing mills or cold storage facilities, right next to those farming communities. Instead of forcing excess agricultural workers to migrate hundreds of miles to overcrowded megacities to find work, they can transition directly into local manufacturing. By building these facilities, the country constructs those missing industrial stepping stones directly within the countryside. This chart shows what happens when those targeted investments take effect. As labor moves out of disguised unemployment and into manufacturing and logistics, the 2 sets of data finally begin to balance. A massive service sector generating trillions in GDP is an impressive statistic, but it isn't the sole indicator of a healthy economy. True economic development happens when the creation of national wealth aligns directly with the creation of meaningful, full-capacity jobs for the people living in it.